Each tattoo or scar indications of incarnations in this lifetimes of devotions or of sincere illuminations, and that define one meaning of trajectory and the transitions that ink or ingrain that has been purposely stamped and stabilized. So once the significant meaning that has been permanently, once it's deliberately stipulated onto one skin or subconsciously, that is the significant meaning of bondage. And to be honestly with integrity, and by following through is integrity. It is the unifications of oneness and the sacredness of having it, and that is the bondage of love. That's the bondage of love. The scars and tattoo that once own it, you want to make sure another person don't own you because you have it, because no one belongs to another unless we allow them to or give them permissions to, because we own the beauty and the story of self-love, and that is the stroke of the devotions that is stepping into our own self, our own value, our own creations, calibrations, the truth of definitions of the volitional love, to the degree where the finest and happiness, harmonious blessing in the relationship is with oneself before we are able to share the happiness with another. And that is within our DNA of God, or goddess for you ladies. So we breathe deeply within the golden eagle spirits. We're soaring as a warrior, do soar and glide and see things through and go beyond the scope of practice at time, because we set ourselves free as sovereignty and the killer of the negativities with grace as the dynamic of our movements is heaven sent, with the fist of power and the fighting that strike of the negativities and this self-defense from the contaminations that is not serving us. So we kick it and devastate it with the tiger knee and learn it from the master that here before us, that of Tony Jaa, and the shadow kick, that of Donnie Yen, and the Garuda or Thor, the golden eagle of Panya Pinnacle pillars of mind, coherence with the heart and the spirits, precious it is with consciousness. This is what left us the scar, and it's what's make us who we are. The battle that we have endured within, and the battle that have overcome as we fight through, pierce through the veil, and not let things get in the way of what our endeavor, of our goals, of our spirits for soaring. So let's hear it, and we commence and make the day better each giving day. Rest needed, we rest. See what is fitted, and we left it as it is. With the scar that tells it all, no lies, because that is where the Shakespeare come to play with poetry, poem, love, heartaches, heartbreaks, healing, ashes of the phoenix. The battle that has been victorious for oneself, that has been endure many years with self-care, self-love, self-healing. Lucky, they say, but no, it's all about determination, persistence, and perseverance to have much of smoother sailing or smoother gliding in the atmosphere of high altitude of the evolutions that take place as most may see and soar along with it, and scar is inevitable. But how do we handle it? How do we keep on lighting up, igniting the night sky, and follow through as a guidance, as like the lighthouse will shine through. You be the lighthouse and set it on the path for the next generation to walk that path as well too, because the blind cannot see, so we must not follow the blind. We must make the path for those who physically capable, verbally, so we can vocalize this for those who are able to hear. Even if they can't see, they can follow through with the hearing, auditory, so they could press on instead of being depressed, so they can overcome the suffering instead of let it them beat down of the anxiety, perplexed to the emotion, consumed without the emotional intelligence to have the emotional, intellectual, and spiritual soaring, peace of mind, love of heart. We must not let our emotional disturbance consume us. We must hold ourselves in standard of our behavior, that of a mountain. So consume what we visually see when we out in nature, when we see mountain, because you are the mountain. So I have been told I wasn't good enough, indirectly, and I would never amount to anything. However, I did not let that get to me, or I let it come through me, bypass it, because I know my own self. Know thee self, as I manage to produce and create the three pillars of my heart spirits. That is the determinations and perseverance after many a failure. And all this year, we have been putting the efforts to master personal trainer certifications and also have access through our own conscious awareness, subconsciously and analytically, and also subliminally, to successfully career as a PT and built these foundations and amazing community on these platforms, and happiness that is being joyously shared spiritually as sovereignty, freedom that we all sought out for, etc. That's the sacreds. That is the best thing that we can share. Our happiness is a gift, and to be able to help others to alleviate the pain, despair, and suffering, and longing for feeling unite as one with that goddess within oneself. It's all about knowing the self, knowing oneself, knowing who you are. It's a sacred, and it's also something that we overlook because we can't see it, because we've got to look inward. We have to do that deep work, and that takes some practices. That takes the time alone. That takes introspection. That takes questioning. That takes constant battle to dismantle the negativities, so we could go beyond it and see the sacredness of our beauty in nature without being hostage to the scar that we have. Because you have the power to change, because the power of now could make a difference as long as we utilize it in a ways that will serve us and also embody the golden ego, baby. So as we consume less of what has been propaganda or dogmatic or bombarded with just overflowing informations, we have to use our discernment to utilize to distinct the differences between what's good, what's not, and also know what is the attribute that we have, the value, the action, the thoughts, the words, the deeds, and also the most importantly is to have right action, right thoughts, right speech, right mindfulness, right concentration, right action, right view, and right speech. Is the words that we can have to embody it consciously. So then subconsciously is always going to be within us that serve us, that is the motivational force that will help us when we need it most. The reinforcement, in other words, that have been sacred in time immemorial, that we can call it as affirmation as well too, that could bear great fruits when the time comes. So we must not give up, never give up. Hashtag that, right? So this is a peace within our mind, because we know that we have been divinely guided and divinely protected to the ability of our own credibility to be able to walk through, to back up with words and actions, right? Like a tattoo in one mind is also the recreate and to recalibrate the truth definition of volitional love.